right. And we have a couple of stories on the pages of the papers. Let's quickly sift through before we go to the main substantives. For example, on the front page of the Daily Guide, it says Mahama boys in trouble, face corruption trial. And we know that this story, coiled from the Daily Guide, is stemming from utterances that had been made in the media by the Member of Parliament and the former Deputy Minister for Education for North Tongue, that's Okuyeto Ablakwa, saying that, well, there had been constant accusations by government officials in the media, especially about perceived corruption. Just recently, we had the issue about cocoa border, etc., coming into the mainstream media. And Okuyeto Ablakwa simply saying that if government says or is speculating that these may have happened in office, while the former administration was in office, then quickly try to arraign those people in court and not just keep banding all that around when nobody really has been tagged with any subject of corruption. What do you make of it quickly before we get on to the substantives?
Me?
Yes, sir.
Well, I think to some extent that's a general feeling that the talk about corruption needs to translate into some prosecutions that are taking place, so people would know whether the talk translates to reality. And I am aware that the Office of the Attorney General, not waiting for the Office of the Special Prosecutor to be established, in the interim, the Office of the Attorney General is building its dossier on some of these cases of corruption, and like His Excellency the Vice President said recently, these prosecutions are going to start shortly.
Yeah.
Good morning to you, good morning to Minister, and good morning to our cherished viewers. As a country, we all have come to understand and agree that corruption is something we should uproot in our national lives, and so any attempt to deal with corruption is most welcome. What is worrying as of now is the politicking that we are going round with. You remember in the run-up to the 2016 general elections, the then candidate Nanado and the MPP made a lot of corruption allegations against President Mahama and the NDC regime then. You could have pardoned them because they were in opposition, and so every opposition would want to, especially an opposition that positions itself not as responsible enough, would want to throw mud at the ruling party at all times. And so some of these allegations were made against President Mahama and the NDC. 10 months into this administration, we haven't seen any attempt to be able to confirm all those allegations that were made. I listened to the Deputy Minister for Justice and Attorney General, Honorable Penka, indicate that they were going to start those prosecutions in October. After the time he was speaking, he had mentioned that the judiciary were on recess. I'm sure they have a legal vacation, and it was his anticipation that they will start prosecutions in October. According to the minister, the deputy minister then, they had concluded with all investigations, and they were just waiting for the legal vacation to pass by, and then they will start those prosecutions. While in November, we haven't seen that action yet. The vice president has also indicated that they will soon start prosecutions. We would wait to see whatever prosecution that they would initiate. I'm sure the accused persons would have their day in court. You just don't level allegations of corruption against former government officials without any evidence. In fact, at some point in time, the indication was that they were not able to prosecute because they were waiting on the passage of the OSP, the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Then later, the deputy minister came out to say no, they had finished with their investigations, and that the Attorney General and Minister for Justice was going to initiate actions on that. Let's see how they would initiate and proceed with the prosecutions. You see, you just don't go to court because someone has made an allegation of corruption against someone. You must make sure that you have evidence that can secure you conviction. And I am very much sure that at the end of the day, the position of the current minority would be vindicated. That most of the allegations, if not all, that they peddle against us was just nothing more than propaganda.
We'll see how that goes. The Vice President has launched the DVLA's new driver's license. It is digital, we're told, because it has an embedded chip system. And as a result of that, the Vice President also used the event to also announce to the general public that the MPP government is rolling out a new process of digitization across sections of the economy to make sure that we move to the next level. That's what it is, because we've just seen a launch of the Ghana card, and we have a new digital property and addressing system. That's it, right? Getting to the next level of digitization for the economy. Is that where we're going?
Well, I think that's where we have to go. I mean, from the period where we were campaigning, the Vice President, who was the head of the economic management team then, kept on emphasizing the situation of the economy, including the fact that the economy was very informal, and a lot of people that were participating in economic activities were not being captured and were not contributing to paying their taxes. Business was slow. There was a lot of corruption. And we say now that it's digital in Ghana. We're moving towards a digital economy. And so we're formalizing all these things. And there are three main pillars for a formalized digital economy. The national ID card, which is the Ghana card, which enables citizens and residents to be identified, to have their bio data captured on their card, and then they can perform certain activities linked to a centralized ID database. So you're going to have a centralized database for your national ID card, for your driver's license, for your electoral commission, for your national identification authority. There's a centralized database that will be built, and then we'll all feed out of that centralized database. The second bit is the national property addressing system, which is what we're currently implementing, that is going very well. And the third phase is the interoperability platform, where residents and citizens of Ghana can perform financial transactions seamlessly, irrespective of what banking platform you're on, irrespective of what payment platform you're on, irrespective of what mobile money platform you're on. It is a fact that at the moment there are about 22 million mobile money accounts, whereas bank accounts with the banks are just about 11 million. And so it's obvious that we need to formalize the informal economy. Now, when we do this, you're able to have a better lifestyle, you're able to work better, you're able to have fun better. There's much more transparency and accountability as far as the system is concerned, because in generating a digital driver's license, you eliminate the intervention of guru boys who otherwise inflate the cost of acquiring these licenses. If you go to the Registrar General's department, for a large extent, because they've been able to sort of automate their processes, things are happening faster. You can now even get your certificate of registration the same day electronically by email, and you can go and print it out and you can do your business. So digitization is the way to go, and bringing in the component of the drivers and vehicles licensing authority obviously is in line with the bigger agenda of creating a digital economy to drive transparency, to drive accountability, and to make sure that we formalize this economy.
At the end of the day, we know that this will be connected to perhaps making sure the police have proper road checks then of who has the best or the rightful license, etc. That has to be complemented with providing the right facilities for the police to be able to maybe access a database to authenticate. Is that
it's true, but even right now, at some police points, I don't know whether you've ever experienced them, but they have handheld appliances that they can, your sticker for your DVLA, your roadworthiness, they can show on the barcode, and then the details would come up. I mean, it will show that what car is supposed to be having those records, who the owner of the car is, and so we are formalizing all these things, and it will all come into play.
Well, very good then.
Yeah, it's a very good idea, a very good move that government is trying to formalize our economy. The economy of this country largely is an informal one. We have, according to the GRA boss, about 1.2 million Ghanaians are registered for tax purposes. A country of close to 30 million population, and we have only 1.2 people registered for tax purposes is worrying. And even out of that 1.2 million Ghanaians who are registered for tax purposes, about 1 million are from the formal sector, the government sector. And so you have only 200,000 people from the informal sector who are registered for tax purposes. And the second layer has to do with the compliance. Registering for tax purposes doesn't mean that they all pay taxes. So you can imagine just around 1.2 paying taxes to cater for a population of 27 million. And so every attempt that is targeted at formalizing the economy should be supported. And so we think that is a good and a laudable idea. For instance, the digital address system obviously is built on the street naming that was done under President Mahama, because you cannot do a proper property address without the street naming. And so it's a continuation of effort that was started by the previous regime. Now, with the DVLA now having a smart card, my only worry, Minister, has to do with the several cards that we have in this country. I don't know how you would intend to synchronize all these cards that we have. You have the National Health Insurance card, driver's license card.
Now even the Social Security is also biometric.
Exactly, and all of them claim to be biometric. I just hope and pray that as a country, a day will come where you can just show one card that can be used for health insurance, that can be used as your driving license, at least.
I think that's what the minister said we're driving towards.
Exactly, and so we would urge them to fast track the process. We would support them in the process. They can deal with the issues of procurement processes and the value for money issues that are beginning to show up.
That are being raised, you mean by the minority?
Not just the minority, but some decent minds in this country have raised questions about value for money and the procurement processes. For instance, I listened to a program on a sister station yesterday, an IT expert, and I was convinced by the data that he churned out, and he had indicated that we could have paid something less than 500,000 US dollars instead of this 2.5 million US dollars that we are paying. That converts to about some 11 million Ghana cedis. So I don't have the details. I just think that whilst fast tracking the process to ensure that we formalize our economy, they must also be interested in the issue of procurement and value for money. Those ones are equally
it's important. Good that the minister is here,
yes,
because
so
sometimes
take them on board.
I think I hold the opinion that sometimes perhaps maybe it's more like your hunch. Your hunch is telling you 2.5 million is that much, etc. But I think that has been explained.
Let me react to what he's saying. I really wish we didn't go into that
tangent.
I really wish we
because
didn't.
I wanted to refer you to what the former president John Mahama said over the weekend too, whether that was fair.
Just a minute. In the first place, the street naming wasn't started under the administration of John Mahama.
Okay.
It was started by Honorable Ban Redu. May his gentle soul rest in peace. So when we come and we are saying these things, let us talk on fact. Let us not do politics with some of these things. Number two, the National Digital Property Addressing System doesn't run on the street naming. There are three components, or there are three big benefits of the National Digital Property Addressing System, or the Ghana Post GPS. The first one is that it enables you to request a digital address for your residence or for your business. Number two, there's a functionality of emergency services. So you can access police, fire service, ambulance services using the Ghana Post GPS. Number 3, there's a navigation component, which is what you are referring to. Now, the navigation component is just one component of the entirety of the solution that we've put out there that this app presents. So if you don't understand it, at least read what His Excellency the Vice President had written, and it will give you a better understanding. Or you come to me, let me explain to you. We've done this severally, okay? To suggest that there are flaws in the procurement system is indeed another unfortunate statement, okay? Now, you say that you were convinced by an IT expert that said that this thing would cost, it could cost 500,000. Roland, we've explained severally. This is an app that we have bought the license for Ghana, okay? Now, amongst the work or amongst the activities that this app or this solution presents is the back-end analytics, okay, that carries on to be able to generate a digital address and an area code that shows the region where you're in, it shows the district where you're in, it gives you your area code. In addition, they are the servers and the firewalls that make sure that we're able to protect citizens' data, we're able to deliver proper service as far as this app is concerned. There's a training that needs to be done. There's a 17.5% VAT, okay, on the $2.5 million. I mean, you can, depending on what time you calculate, you do your calculation, you can get a 2.3 or you can get a $2.5 million. Okay. There's the exchange rate component that is there. There's the marketing activities, which include TV, radio, outdoor, okay? It includes below the line people going from door to door with the National Commission for Civic Education. It includes those that are doing the mopping up, working with the National Commission of Civic Education, working with the utility companies, working with the municipal and district assemblies. Okay? It includes the 4,000 government buildings that are going to have their digital addresses physically tagged on them. So on what basis do you come and say that this thing could have been $500,000? It doesn't make sense. Listen, even if we were paying 10 cents, okay, as license fee, okay, 10 cents as license fee per user, calculating the number of Ghanaians that we have. Okay, if everybody in Ghana was supposed to have a digital address and we're paying 10 cents per user, okay, or even 1 cent per user, I mean, some of these things, if you don't understand, don't just follow the crowd. Okay, these are facts of the matter. If you as an individual are using Google Maps for navigation, you do not pay anything apart from your data. However, if an entity or an enterprise goes to approaches Google Maps and say that I have this solution for the navigation bit, I want to run on Google Maps and other platforms. That
they can also approach.
If you go and check with Google Maps, this almost $400,000 US. It is not a figure that we pluck from the sky. Okay, Google will tell you that is how much they charge. And we have explained severally that, listen, as at the time that we're going live, for the navigation component of this solution, Google Maps presented the best user experience, even with Google Maps, you still don't have 100% of the streets in Ghana named. What His Excellency the President and Cabinet did was that for issuing for requesting the digital addresses, we're kosher, we're good to go, okay? For the navigation bit, deliver a better user experience, we should work with the Ministry of Local Government, National Security, Lands Commission, and harmonize the fiscal street names, okay, with what we have, and have converted all to an electronic format or the digital form, and that is what is going on.
So meaning that what's real on the ground will be actualized in the data.
It should.
In the database when you're using it.
Roland, it's all about experience.
Yeah.
Okay, if I'm using a digital
But that will be done over time, or will be achieved over time.
But if I'm using a digital navigation system, I don't necessarily need to have a street name, because it will tell me that I'm approaching a junction, I should take a left or a right. I'm 200 meters from where I am, I should be getting ready to bend to the left or right. It will give me that direction. However, if the streets are named it would be a better experience for me, because if you say take left on Abdulaziz Street,
then you can relate.
Then I can relate, and you can relate better. You understand? So there's nothing wrong with what has come out. And I really wish that our friends on the other side would try and understand a bit more about what this digitization is about and the benefits of digitization, rather than poo-pooing and rubbishing everything that they couldn't do. And His Excellency the President, within 10 months, is rolling out all these.
You're here with that thing again. What they couldn't achieve in 8 years.
Yes.
I think I've seen
that's the propaganda aspect of it, which I can.
It's a fact of the matter.
I can ignore. You see, Minister, you are a minister in that sector, and so I would appreciate your understanding of the issues in that ministry, and for that matter, this project.
You mean you appreciate his explanations?
Not really, but I appreciate his understanding of issues in the industry.
The former president was a deputy minister of communications. He was a minister of communications. I mean, he headed that ministry long before some of us went there. So he should have a better appreciation of the issue.
What I'm saying has got nothing to do with the former president. I'm only saying that being a deputy minister in that sector, I do appreciate your understanding of the workings of this project.
Very well.
But you see, there has been some few things that you haven't explained. It is not true, from my understanding, that the street naming was started under Honorable Bawuridu. In fact, it was President Mahama who issued a directive to all the assemblies, municipal, metropolitan, and district assemblies, to go ahead with the street naming, and they were even given a deadline.
Are you saying before then?
Not that I know of.
I think that's what he's referring
to. No, but you see.
For example, where my office is, it's located 26 Farah Avenue.
Those ones have in recent history. All that I remember was the directive given by President Mahama to all his metropolitan and municipal district chief executives
to do the maps,
to do the road, the street naming,
which was done.
So
it was to complete.
Minister, take it easy. I was quiet when you were speaking, so
okay,
just have patience for me. I'm sure you can have your turn again if you want to.
Go ahead.
And so that is a correction that I'd want to make. Secondly, are you telling me that the navigation system would have nothing to do with the street naming? We all use the navigation system of Google. Are you telling me that it will not rely on the street naming? That cannot be true. And I have not also raised an issue of cost and procurement. I have not told you that this project could have been secured at price X or Y. I'm only drawing your attention to some concerns that people have raised. That as much as that project is good, we must also be interested in the concerns that people have raised in respect of the procurement processes and the value for money. And I refer to someone I listened to on a sister network. And so these are issues for you to take on board. It's not as if the minority or the NDC is trying to poo-poo everything that you do. No, I'm just drawing your attention to some, because those guys that I listened to yesterday on a sister network, those were not NDC guys. These were experts in the industry, just like you yourself. And so I'm just drawing your attention to some of the issues that you should take on board. As a minister, you can't decide to take them on board or not. That one, I can't force it down you. But I have every right to also share my perspective on this issue, that as much as the project is good, we must pay attention.
So you do acknowledge that it's a good one?
Oh, I think that was my initial statement, that any attempt targeted at formalizing the economy of Ghana is good. And I even gave you the data on why some 1.2
That's at variance to the various comments or commentary we've heard from leading members of the minority and also leading members of the opposition.
That it is not good to formalize our economy?
No.
Who haven't said so?
No.
Issues has been raised about costs,
about steps that have been taken so far by this government
to
make sure that we get to that.
And that had to do with the procurement and value for money issues, which I am reiterating and asking the deputy minister to take those concerns
and in the words
on board.
Of some
you see,
people,
you need that feedback. You need that feedback as to travel along this project. And so for you to think that because I am a member of the NDC, and so whatever I say in respect of this project is propaganda, it's up to you.
All right.
Well, just a minute.
You want to make a comment? I wanted us to move on to the subject of education.
You see, on this issue of the digital property addressing system,
it becomes a bit of a thorny issue, even though there's constant explanation.
If I may, because we don't have enough money to do a thorough education, whenever I have the opportunity to try and educate viewers and listeners free of charge, I would take advantage of it. and I'm happy that he is one person from the other side that admits that what we are doing is good. Obviously, there is some misunderstanding of what Ghana Post GPS is. Have you tried using it? Have you downloaded Ghana Post GPS?
No,
have you generated your digital address?
No.
Okay, so
but I'm a regular user of the Google.
So let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. This is exactly the problem that we have, because most of the people on the other side who are commenting on the Ghana Post GPS have never used Ghana Post GPS.
The user experience is not there.
The user experience is not there, so they think that it is Google Maps. Okay, and I've tried to explain that there are three components of Ghana Post GPS. Okay, there's a generation of the digital address.
May I land? Along and stop this minority to help the project.
May I land?
Please proceed.
Okay.
Proceed.
If you're generating your digital address, it has nothing to do with Google Maps. Okay, it takes the latitude and longitude of where you are. You understand? And so using Google Maps for navigation doesn't mean that you have a digital address, or doesn't mean that you understand.
I haven't said so.
Can I land? When I was interrupting you, didn't like it. So can I land? Okay. So it's a totally different thing. However, on Ghana Post GPS, you have the navigation experience. You understand? You don't need a street to be named for you to be able to navigate using a digital platform. It's common sense. Okay, the app would give you the directions. However, you can have a better experience if you have the street named. Okay, so I think we should be clear on that point. Now, of course, we'll take all feedback. But if you are, for example, if you are challenging the procurement process,
I haven't challenged it.
We are talking to listeners. Don't
impugn on me.
He's not said that you are saying it all. You have raised.
I'm here on the platform.
If anyone is challenging the procurement process that was used and saying that we haven't delivered value for money, or we didn't work towards value for money, Roland, I've given you the chunk of the breakdowns. Okay, can anybody who really understands technology suggest that this app should have been procured for $500,000? Indeed, this was advertised in the newspapers. It went through the entire procurement process. There were 26 companies or 22 organizations that expressed interest, of which 6 of them went through the final stage of being asked to buy the tender document. So everything was followed right from the procurement process. If this thing was $500,000, or as other leading members of the NDC are saying that this could have been procured for free, why would the NDC do Ghana such a big disservice, okay, and not have secured a system for generating digital addresses, okay, providing emergency services, providing a good experience for navigation, okay, when this thing in their mind was free, when they had 8 years? Okay, so let us not try and belittle the issue. Wow. And number 2, it is a fact, okay, that the street naming in Ghana was initiated and commenced by the late Honorable Ban Uredu. And you can let your production team check. It is a fact. What His Excellency John Mahama did is he gave a deadline for the streets to be completed. In fact, as of now, not all the streets in Ghana have still been named. There's still work that is ongoing. So it's an ongoing process. So even that one, the deadline that he gave, it wasn't achieved. Not all the names have been achieved, but to a large extent. I think at the last week when we met, I think it was about 70 to 75% of the streets in Ghana that have physical names. And there's the Deputy Minister for Local Government gave a deadline for them to be able to complete it. So it's a good thing that we are doing. It's a good thing that we have a visionary leader in His Excellency the President, supported by His Excellency the Vice President, okay, who's the head of the economic management team, that has said that we need to formalize our economy, and he's putting in place the right things to formalize the economy. Okay, let them come on board and let us work together. If there's feedback, there's criticism, we will take it. But let us not just talk for the sake of talking.
Which you are allergic to.
Okay, so let's move on. The Minister of Education, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, was in Parliament yesterday. And on the floor, he was in Parliament to answer a question. On the floor, he said that apparently the John Mahama-led administration had not paid or had not disbursed the funding for scholarships for sections or selected students in the progressively free SHS policy that it had started for the 2015-2016 and 2016-2017 academic years. This generated a lot of debate, and then we had a former Deputy Minister for Education, who is also a Member of Parliament for North Tongue, Okujeto Ablakwa, saying that that could not be true. We'll bring you his insights, and then we'll come have some discussion on that subject. It's a very controversial comment by the Education Minister, who really was emphatic on his point.
Okujeto Ablakwa described the claims by the minister as false.
That statement is a palpable falsehood.
How much was paid?
We paid some money. I have asked the former Deputy Minister for Finance, Honorable Atufosun, who you know the payments are carried out by the Ministry of Finance. He's promised to provide, and we will make that information public. He says he has copies of the records of payment that we made, and I know for a fact that we made some payment. If the Honorable Minister had said that there was some arrears, that I will agree with him. There were some arrears, but to say on the floor of the House that we didn't pay a farthing, that is not accurate.
Deliberations for the day ended with a second reading of the Major Muhammad Trust Fund Bill.
So Okujeto Ablakwa, responding to what the minister said on the floor of the House, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, saying that no money was made available for the second year of the program. And he says that, well, the sum of some 12.1 million was released to cover at least 300,000 for the first period. Now, he said, so for the current budgetary year, no payments will be made because no allocations were made. So that makes sense. And the focus of government was on the free SHS policy, which really is benefiting thousands of students in first year. Your response, sir?
I share in the sentiments expressed by Honorable Sami Okujeto Ablakwa on this matter, that the minister was economical with the truth when he came to speak on the issue of the free senior high school. It was a parliamentary question that he was responding to, and that matter came up. You see, when ministers get the opportunity to speak to the public through parliament, they have a duty to be candid and truthful. This, I think, the minister missed when he appeared before Parliament. In fact, through his answer, he has admitted that progressive introduction of free senior high school had started under President Mahama. He has also admitted that for 2015-2016 academic year, 320 students benefited from the progressive introduction of the free senior high school. 1,000. This issue has been a very thorny issue, with the government not admitting to the fact that something of that sort has started. What the minister is denying has to do with 2016-2017 academic year, where he stated that no amount of money was allocated for that academic year. That we contest. Like Honorable Ablakwa indicated, if the minister had said that some amount of money are in arrears in respect of the progressive senior high school, that would have been most welcome. But to claim that there was no budget allocation at all and that no money was released is not true. They must proceed with this government policy of free senior high school with some fairness and truth. That's not what we are seeing today. As we speak today, they claim they have rolled out what they call universal free senior high school. That we think is not true. The ordinary Ghanaian knows for sure that what they have today is not universal free senior education policy, because it is only limited to the first years. Let's even assume that what the minister is saying is true. They now have a duty to do what they think was right that we didn't do. You just don't promise to do universal free senior high school for secondary for senior high students, only to do for first years. And even with that one, Roland, you can go and check. Schools reopen on 12th of September. It is almost 2 months now. Government has released only 20% of the amount that was budgeted for.
Still?
Oh, yes.
Still.
And the most interesting thing,
sure of that?
I'm sure of that, some of them are yet to even get the money. In fact, I made some checks.
Some of them are yet to get which
the 20% that was released. I'm telling you, check from the northern regions. I have made some checks. And some of them pick their checks only the day before yesterday. I know it takes 3 days to clear when you go and lodge in a check from a different bank. This interbank clearing system takes some 3 days. And so what the headmasters did was to depend on the fees paid by the current, second, and third years to fend for the first years.
That's what they told you.
That's what, it was on radio yesterday. Some of them spoke to it. It's not anything that I'm manufacturing, that they had to depend on fees paid by second and third years to be able to fend for the first years, because the 20% has just come. And remember that the 400 million that was allocated for the free senior high school was just for a term, starting from September and ending in December. The schools have done more than half of the term, and we have released just 20% of the budgeted amount, a sign of the sustainability and funding issues that we had raised. You remember when they started this policy, even though we commended that, we said they needed to have a more sustainable funding regime for it, and it was rubbished. Today, we are here, just 20%. Go to most of the schools, and you see the infrastructure deficits that are beginning to show up. Those ones are worrying. Government must sit up and do what is right and stop this propaganda. Whether we release monies for 2016-2017 academic year or not, today you are in the seat of government. You have a duty to do what is right. But I still challenge the minister that what he's saying is not true, that some amount of money was released. The Deputy Minister for Finance during President Mahama, Honorable Atu Forson, has promised to make available to the Ghanaian public data on the amount of money that we had released for that same academic year that the minister is claiming we had not released a penny for. And so let them come clean, let them do what is right and proper. In fact, this book is authored by the Ministry of Education and not Sami Okudzeto Ablakwa or President Mahama. For 2015-2016 academic year.
Is it the Green Book?
No, this is not a Green Book. This was a book published by the Ministry of Education. 12 fees items amounting to 162 per student per year was absorbed for 320,488 day students in the 2015-2016 academic year. The minister has not disputed this. These fee items include examination, library, SRC, blah, 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 blah. The program has been extended in 2016-2017 academic year to cover 120,000 boarding students. It is estimated that an amount of 85,318,200 Ghana cedis would be paid to support this number of students. And so the minister has admitted, invariably, that the first part, the 320, had been catered for and that monies were released. What he's challenging has to do with the second leg, the 2016-2017 academic year, and we still contest that that is not true. He was not being factual to Parliament and the public and so he must come clean on that matter.
This is okay. But this is an NDC book, Changing Lives, Transforming Ghana.
Oh, no. Ministry of Education. There's no NDC here. Okay. There's no NDC here.
What? Changing Lives.
Ministry of Education.
Okay, it's a Government of Ghana publication.
Exactly.
Roland, may I?
And so,
yes, please. Your response to this? The minister not being factual as far as...
In the first place, he has admitted that the minister was saying that no funds had been released for 2016-2017. That's what you said. That the minister is saying that no funds have been released
for 2016-2017. Exactly, I agree with you.
That's what you said.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, this book, what you read, it says it is estimated that funds will be released. So it serves no purpose to confirm that funds have been released or funds have not been released. It's an intent. Okay, for the first half that funds were released, you have read that funds were released for 300 and something. In the second part,
320.
you said it is estimated that funds will be released to cover. So that is
the minister in Parliament said that nothing had been released.
Okay. So even if we focus on the 2016-2017, where they are saying that the minister has been economical with the truth, Roland, and to all your viewers, I think that we need to be a bit more serious as Ghanaians. The minister made a statement yesterday. You called the media and said the minister was telling untruth. I would have expected that if indeed the minister was telling untruth, coming into the studio today, you would have brought your documentary evidence to challenge what the minister had said, okay? And not just say that you believe what somebody else is saying just because the person is in the same party with you, okay? The minister has said that he has checked with the scholarship secretariat, he has named his source, and the scholarship secretariat have no evidence, they have no proof that this payment was that any provision or any payment has been done. If you have a different point of view, name your source, okay, and then show the data. Then we can all talk to it. But then to be saying that Honorable Okujato Ablakwa has come to say something and he's your friend, so you believe him, and Honorable Atu Forcing is a very, very good friend. So he has said something else, and so because of that, my very, very, very good friend and the Minister of Education is telling what truth. I would agree because me too Napo is my friend, and Napo has I didn't interrupt you because Napo has named his source. Yeah. Okay, challenge. Can I finish, please? Challenge his source. Okay. Now, number two, on this issue of free SHS, again, I'm saying that I can't think for some of these things. Okay. We have given free SHS for SHS1 students. You weren't able to do it. Ghanaians are enjoying it. Ghanaians are talking about it. We haven't said that this policy is 100% crucial as far as the implementation is concerned. Even His Excellency the President has said that there have been teething problems and would address these teething problems. If you're talking about infrastructure, you were the one that said that the infrastructure that you have invested in the schools was unprecedented. Okay, and in fact, even at the time when we were talking about free SHS, you said that you had invested so much in infrastructure and created an enabling environment so that we can now come and put people in the schools. Now that the people are saying that they are challenging with the infrastructure, you are saying that, hey, we are responsible for infrastructure. No problem. Ghanaians voted for us, we'll fix it. Okay, we'll fix it. It's not an issue. Can I, please let me finish. Ghanaians voted for us and we will fix it. But the bottom line or the crux of the matter is that the Minister of Education has he has come to make a statement on the floor of Parliament. If you believe that his statement is not entirely true, which I don't agree, come with a counter argument, come with a counter facts. Let us argue based on facts. Don't just be talking because somebody says. The
minister met the media, and I'm quoting him. He said, "We met the headmasters and we met the scholarship secretary, and the question was, have you sent anybody to receive a scholarship?" And he said the answer was no. He said government decided to discontinue the program after he discovered no funds were allocated for it, and so no payment will be made for any of those students that would have been captured under the period.
Roland,
and
that is where the problem comes. I don't know if the minister actually referred to the scholarship secretariat as a source of information. We are not talking about scholarships here. No. These are two different things altogether.
It's a scholarship. It's a form of scholarship.
Oh, no. Apart from the progressive...
Then what is it?
Oh, let me make my point. I'm sure by the time I finish, you would have understood what I'm trying to say. Apart from the progressive introduction of the free senior high school, that we dealt with 320,000 plus students for 2015-2016 academic year, which was extended to 120,000 students in boarding school, which the minister is contesting, has got nothing to do with some scholarship project that we had for 10,400. These are two different things altogether. Under the secondary education improvement project, some 10,400 students were also targeted.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Exactly. And so that's what I'm saying, that the minister, when he refers to the scholarship secretariat as a source of information in respect to progressive introduction of free senior high school, is wrong. These are two different things altogether.
Let me come in. Listen, a question was asked of the minister. The minister has responded. Okay? If you don't understand the response of the minister and you want to change the question,
we don't understand anything of yours.
Oh, and you want to change the question.
We don't understand anything of yours.
That is your call. But to say that the answer that the minister has given to the question that he was asked is wrong, and that's not what you are talking about. Who defines what the subject of discussion? Okay, Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa's response, okay, should be specific to the response that the Minister of Education has given. Don't change the narrative. Don't change the question. Let us focus there. Let us focus. And Roland, you have read it. Can I finish? Can I finish? Roland, you have read it. Okay, so if it's like when we were in school, there was this joke that people would say you go and learn about a tadpole, and when you go the questions on tilapia, you do it and you bring the tadpole question inside. That's what you are doing. The man has given a response. You see, the man has given a response. You are saying that the response is not true.
No, let's get serious.
And in country, you are talking about a totally separate matter.
Oh, let's get serious. Let's get serious on this matter, please, Minister.
All right.
Just take your time and follow my argument.
It's not your argument. You are not the one asking the question.
No, that's not referring for the Ministry of Education.
You are not the ones asking the question. You are speaking about a
specific issue. 120 students that the minister is challenging, there was another policy to offer scholarships to about 10,400. If you want information on this 10,400, you can go to the scholarship secretariat. If you go there to find out information about this 120,000, you are wrong. That's what I'm saying.
So you're saying the minister is
seeking
answers from wrong places.
Exactly.
Seeking answers to what?
Exactly.
What was the question?
He's the minister.
What was the question?
You think that
what was the question?
This was a book.
What was the question?
Okay.
What was the question that was asked of the minister?
You don't go to the scholarship.
Roland, what was the question that was asked of the minister? For which he's saying that the minister, the minister told us.
Yes. Are you asking me?
Yes.
Where were you yesterday?
Because yesterday I was working in the central.
And what was me? I was.
So you don't even understand the question.
Just as you don't. I am telling you the minister.
So you admit that you don't know the question.
Roland has just read.
No. You admit that
Roland has just read to us that the minister referred to the scholarship secretariat as a source of information. And I'm telling you that you can go to the scholarship secretariat to find out about the 10,400 students who were on a special scholarship. But you don't go to that same secretariat for information on the progressive introduction of free senior high school. You do that at the ministry that we had.
That's what I'm saying. That was asked of the minister.
The minister is saying that
issues and stop asking
the minister is saying that they are not going to pay for those scholarships because no funding has been made available. So too, they are not going to pay. They are not going to pay for funding that was not made available for the 2016-2017 year, and so those students who should have benefited won't be benefiting.
Thank you.
Because no allocation was made.
Oh, when you say thank you, we are talking of the Ghanaian children.
Does it close the discussion?
The answer we're talking about the answer to the question.
So the minister,
you are arguing.
The minister is saying that government's policy is to provide free SHS. And they are starting with first years progressively in 3 years. We'll be covering all of the schools. Now, let's move quickly and do this before we leave. And JoyNews has intercepted a list of former government officials who acquired state lands distributed in a style the lands and natural resources minister said was similar to the sale of Kilewilly. Okay, and he said that the lands were distributed. Over 416 individuals, mostly past government officials, were allocated lands between 2009 and 2016. They name a number of them here, but I mean, the reason for me bringing this up is, let me start with you. How do we make sure that when we come into office, we don't, or perhaps even the lands are distributed equitably, so that people are given right of purchase equitably?
This issue of people in privileged positions sharing state lands amongst themselves has been with us for some time now. It is worrying. But what is more worrying is the attitude of the minister. He's one minister that personally, I must admit, that I see as a very calm-headed person. But you see, to say that they distributed lands among themselves as if they were sharing Kilewilly.
Yes, because the NDC government, NDC when in opposition, claimed that
it's not about NDC MPP.
There was a ban.
Even the list that
was lifted.
Even the list that I have seen includes people from both the NDC and the MPP.
Well, rightfully.
What it means is that we have a duty as a state to go beyond this extreme partisanship in respect of how people in privileged positions would share lands for themselves, when indeed they are only holding those properties in trust and on behalf of the ordinary Ghanaian. Now, you don't use words such as kelewule and yet say you are going to investigate. What are you going to investigate? You are conclusive. You are conclusive. The minister could have avoided that and just said, this is what has come to my attention. We want to investigate that and take appropriate measures. But to proceed to say that it was done in a style like sharing kelewule and now say you are going to investigate, I think that he could have avoided that as a senior state officer. Now, the list I have seen, members of current regime and members of the previous regime, I have seen names from both sides. I'm sure you watch the trend. That partisanship will not be there because it cuts across both parties, MPP and the NDC. But I think that all public lands are vested in the president, who hold them in trust for all of us as Ghanaians. And the Lands Commission is the body established by law to manage and coordinate the use of state lands. A situation where people come into power and then they begin to sell these state lands to themselves at very paltry sums is regrettable. As a country, we must put in measures to ensure that that is not repeated. I don't have the details of the issues now. We can only express our disgust at the way and manner public officials would share lands among themselves, either in the NDC or in the MPP. It is condemnable. We must condemn it, and we must ensure that the laws work properly.
It should be equitable. It's not exactly. A matter that it should be condemned, because if you condemn one, the allocations should be made. So that one.
Well, you want to buy some?
I agree to a large extent to what my brother Abdul Aziz has put across on this subject matter. I think that what is wrong is wrong. And if you realize the reaction of His Excellency, the President, when we came into power and there was this issue about government vehicles being sold to government appointees, he stated clearly that it wasn't going to happen again. Okay, so that similar position is what I believe that he's going to reaffirm on this issue. Both of us don't have much insight as to what kind of procedure was followed, as to whether it was a law, whether it was policy. So it will be difficult for us to comment seriously on this subject matter. However, we are both saying that it doesn't smell good, it doesn't feel good that government property is being sold to former government appointees, unless there's a reason, a very justifiable reason, and for which
it's an allocation.
And I think that because
the statutes provide.
And I think that because we don't have the full understanding of the subject matter, we should wait for the committee to present their report, and then we can interrogate the matter fully. Once the committee presents its report, we'll be better informed, and then we can sort of discuss that issue. Well. I think so.
On the issue of these state vehicles, maybe you may want to review the policy. It's been a policy in place since President Rollins that with saloon cars, with saloon cars, at the end of
it's not only peculiar even to the political even directors and all that.
Well, the president has said that it's not good.
So you can change the policy.
Very well.
You don't need a statement.
We've had in the studio, or we have in the studio, helping us with the discussions over the last an hour and a half, George Anda. He's a member of parliament for Ewutu Senior West, but also member of parliament for that area, but also a deputy communications minister. And he's been in the studio alongside Mohammed Abdulaziz, member of parliament for Myong. They've had some great discussions.
Friend of Ukudata Blackwood.
Even though they've been taking a dig at each other once in a while, a couple of times. You know, Mr. Jojanda is quite vociferous when he's making that dig. So sometimes his opponent think that he's angry many of the times. But